I'm going to show you how to go about making the Bo Peep skirt part. And yes, you'll see that it's mostly done, but that is okay because it's such a repeat, and you repeat it over and over again, and it's done on the correct side because you're adding the ruffle yarn to the end. You can do this normally. You don't have to worry about wrong and right side and everything. It's going to be like normal. What I've done is an E-wrap cast on, and I've done it from here over, and then I've done a simple knit back. Okay, and where I'm going to start from is the next row to get you started. And I'm going to be showing you the seed stitch. Now, I have calculated this up to what it's going to be from my daughter's waist to her knee. You'll want to measure this, and what I've done is I've calculated this is a DK weight yarn, and you get 6 stitches per inch. And because you're going from the sideways manner, you'll want to keep that 6 inches per stitch and multiply that by the number of inches that you get from the waist to the knee. And I'm keeping with my 5 stitches at the end with my seed stitch and adding, and so no matter what length you put your skirt at, the rest of this is going to be knit. Okay, so what I got is I wanted to do 36 pegs for this, and what I've done is I have divided that into 4, which I get 9. And so I've calculated 9 and put stitch markers. Well, I want to split each section of 9 in half as much as possible. So what I've done is I've counted over 4 and put a stitch marker. I've counted over 4 and put a stitch marker at the beginning of each thing. Okay, so what you want to do is whatever number pegs you get, you want to divide it in 4 and put stitch markers on those, and then you want to divide that number in half again and put stitch markers as close to the halfway point as possible. I put mine 4 from the beginning of each section of 9, okay, and that'll help make even short rows. And what that does is, what we're planning is we're doing a curvature, which you kind of see the section here, these little lumpy sections. Those are your wraps and turns. Those are your short row sections to create a slight gradual curve, which is what you're up to. And because I don't want it curling at the bottom, that's the reason for the seed stitch with the ruffle yarn. So, again, if you're going to calculate this for somebody else, keep in mind, DK weight, 6 stitches per inch. Keep that. Don't do the stretch. 6 inches per inch multiplied by the measurement you get from the waist to the knee. That is the number of pegs you will need. Then you'll need to divide that by 4, and I will give this formula. You'll need to divide it by 4, put your stitch markers in there, and then you take that number that you got for the 4 and divide it in half and put stitch markers in there. You're going to continue with your 5 stitches at the end for doing your seed stitch. Everything else is going to be knit in between with a slip on the end. Okay, so what I've done to get started, I did an E-wrap cast on, then I did a straight knit back. Okay, and then we're going to be starting from here. So what you want to do is you want to slip that first stitch, okay, and you want to knit your way back. You don't need the stitch markers just yet. Okay, I'm to my last 5 stitches. I'm going to knit that first one, purl the next one, knit, purl, and in the pattern it'll be RY, which means add your ruffle yarn. Okay, and you're going to find your end, and you're going to have one slot, move to the next slot, add it on, make sure you get your very edge, knit 2 together. So it's going to be RY, which is add ruffle yarn, and then knit 2 together. Okay. Now, that is the initial row you do after you do your E-wrap cast on, knit back. That's your first row that you do, and you add your actual ruffle yarn in. And my suggestion when you start to add your ruffle yarn, that you go at least 2 to 3 slots over so that it doesn't unravel on you and it stays on there solid. Now what I choose to do is work my ruffle yarn from the inside of the loom and work my working yarn on the outside of the loom when doing this. But that is where you get started. The next section will be doing your short rows to start doing the gradual. And what it is a 16 rows in between your decrease sections, because you should only have one chain at the end, one slip at the very end. So it's going to be 16, and because I'm working a 17-inch waist, it's 10 rows per inch. Okay, so however much your waist is, you want to multiply that by 10, because it's 10 stitches per inch. Okay, and then whatever that number is, you want to divide it by 16 or 17, and whatever your number is how many times you do this patterning I'm showing. Okay. Again, I will include the formula in the written pattern so that this isn't completely foreign. This is where you can make it any size you want. You may want it, if you're making it larger than for a year-old little girl, then you'll want to probably use an S loom when it comes to the bodice area. But again, I will provide the calculations in the pattern to make for another size. But it's 10 stitches with DK weight, 10 rows with DK weight per inch, and you want to multiply that by the waist measurement, and then you want to divide that by 17, and that's how many times you do this patterning. If that makes any sense. Okay, so let's get started with the short row sections. Okay, doing the short row sections to get your gradual curve. What you want to do is you want to purl your first stitch, knit, purl, knit, purl. Then knit your way over to the first stitch marker. Wrap and turn. Then you're going to knit your way back over to where you have your last 5 stitches. Knit, purl, knit, purl, and then you want to add your next section in. Knit 2 together. Then you're going to work your way back, starting off with a purl, knit, purl, knit, purl. Then you're going to knit your way over to the next stitch marker. So you're going to knit over to the next one after this one. You're going to knit those 2 stitches together, and then knit your way over to the next stitch marker, wrap and turn, and knit your way back to your 5 pegs. I'm going to show you this again, and you're going to continue this. Knit to the next stitch marker, wrap and turn, knit your way back. Okay, and do not forget to add your ruffle yarn in every time you come back. Okay, I'm going to show you again. Remember to keep up with your seed stitch on your last 5 stitches. So purl, knit, purl, knit, purl. Knit your way over to the next stitch marker. That you don't have a wrap and turn. Knit those 2 stitches together on that wrap and turn. Knit over to the next stitch marker, which is there. Wrap and turn, and knit your way back. Now you want to do this all the way to the end where you just knit all the way over. So go ahead and pause the video and continue this process until you get all the way over to here. And then I will show you how to do the next decrease section. But you're going to continue like we've been doing, where you knit over to the next stitch holder, wrap and turn, and knit your way back. And as you come over here to the end, always add your ruffle yarn. So I'm going to be knitting all the way back to here, wrapping and turning and coming back, then knitting all the way to here, wrap and turn, come back, then knit all the way to here, wrap and turn, come back, and then knit all the way to the end and come back. Then we'll go from there. So go ahead and pause the video and get this decreasing section done, and then I will show you the next short row section. Okay, I've done my whole knit all the way over, and I'm going to knit my way back, and then I will show you the next short row section. And what I want you to think of this as is like working a pizza slice. You're going to work to the tip, and then you're going to work your way back. So we've just worked our way to the tip of our pizza slice. Okay, and what we're wanting to do is work our way back down the end of the pizza slice. Okay, because we want these really nice even sections that span out and give us our beautiful curve to our skirt. So in the last 5, knit, purl, knit, add your next section on. Okay, so here we're to the next short row section that'll help us get back down to the base of our pizza slice, is what I'll call it. So go ahead and purl and knit your 5 stitches over here. So purl, knit, purl, knit, purl. And because we worked our way out, we're going to be going all the way to the next stitch marker and then coming back. Okay, so knit your way to the stitch marker before your end peg. Okay, we're going to be working our way back. Remember, this is like a pizza slice. We're coming back from the tip to the base where our crust will be. So keep that in mind as a visual reference as to what you're up to. So it's like going up a mountain, we reach the peak, we're going back down the mountain. So here's our stitch marker here. Alright, we're going to knit to it. Then we're going to wrap and turn. Okay. And we're going to knit our way back. Okay. So now we're starting to go down the mountain. We're starting to go back on our pizza slice. However visually you want to put that in your head. So you want to knit your way back. Okay, and then don't forget to keep up with your last 5 stitches over here. And find your end. There it is. And add that in and knit 2 together. Alright. So we moved to this one over here. Now we're going to stop at this one and wrap and turn, okay? So remember your seed stitch here at the end. So purl 1, knit 1, purl 1, knit 1, purl 1, and then knit 2, that stitch marker I pointed out. Okay, and then I'm going to wrap and turn the next peg and mark my way back. I'm going to show you this one more time, and then I'm going to tell you to go off on your own and finish your way back to the bottom of the mountain or the crust of the pizza, as I'll put it visually for you. So you work your way back. Again, I will show this to you one more time so that you have the idea. Don't forget, on your last 5 pegs, keep up with your seed stitch. Knit, purl, knit, purl, ruffle yarn, sometimes it helps to stretch that one like that. Knit 2 together. Okay, I'll show you one more time. Alright, keep up with your seed stitch. Purl 1, knit 1, purl 1, knit 1, purl 1, knit all the way over. Sorry for the deep breathing, I've had a cold. Okay, so there was your last one with your wrap and turn. Here's your next one. Wrap and turn and knit your way back. And then, of course, this is going to be your next one. And you're just going to keep working your way back by 1 stitch marker until you are all the way to here. Okay, and then I will show you from there. So go ahead and pause the video and get yourself decreased all the way back. And then we will go from there. Alright, so go ahead and pause the video and knit your way back to here, wrap and turn, knit way back. Knit yourself to here, wrap and turn, knit your way back. Knit yourself to here, wrap and turn, knit your way back. Okay, keep up with your seed stitch on your last 5 and adding your ruffle yarn. But what you want to do is get back here, and there should be a wrap and turn here, 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 here. So get your wraps and turns done, and then we will go from there. Now we're to the next. We've already worked our way down to the base. You see a wrap and turn there, 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 and there. Okay, now we're going to work on just straight rows, no more short rows. So what we're going to do to get ourselves set up, this is where we're going to do our total 16 rows. And you're going to keep up with your seed stitch. So purl 1, knit 1, purl 1, knit 1, purl 1. Okay, knit over, knit those 2 together, then knit over, knit those 2 together, knit those 2 together, knit those 2 together. Just work your entire way over, knit those 2 together, knit those two together and knit that one at the end. Always slip your one at the end. Okay. Work your way back by knitting, slip that first one, and then knit your way back, remembering your last 5 stitches are a seed stitch so that you don't have a roll. You can do whatever stitch pattern you want at the end and that you know is not going to roll up on you. So you can do whatever you want. If you want to do an eyelet stitch, you can, but I find the seed stitch is a little easier to keep up with on this while trying to keep up with several other things. So there's my last 5 pegs to keep up with. Okay, and add our next one in, knit 2 together. And that gets your pizza slice done. And then we're going to work 14 rows back into. We've just worked our way back here, and this is what you're going to do to finish up your 16 rows. What we've done is 2 already, and what you're going to do is you're going to start off with a purl, and you're going to knit and purl. So this is what you'll do for the next 14 rows, and knit and purl. There's your 5 stitches for the beginning. Then you're going to knit your way over all the way to the end. Okay. And then knit that last stitch. Okay, and then you're going to come back around, so you're going to slip that first stitch. The reason why we're slipping that first stitch is we want to make it easier to add our bodice. Alright, so we're going to knit our way back over until the last 5. And these 2 rows you will repeat 14 times. Okay. And this will finish your set. And then you'll go back to starting your increase, decrease, short row section. Okay. So go ahead and knit all the way to the last 5. Knit that first one, purl, knit, purl, and then continue adding. Find your edge, which at times can be fun. There's the next one, move to the next one. Put that on there. It's your ruffle yarn and knit 2 together. Okay, you're going to repeat those last 2 rows a total of 14 times. And then we're going to start with that decrease sectioning again. Okay, so pause the video and get that done, and then start from the decrease section and do that however many times you need. For me, this is going to be 10 times for my project, and for you it may be another number of times. So go from there and get that done, and we'll go from there. Okay, I finished up my skirt, and I did a bind off, a regular bind off, and that part's done, and we're ready to start on the bodice. You can do this on the same loom I was using, because when you do the total number of rows, you're going to divide it in half, and that's how many pegs you'll need for your bodice. So once you calculate the number of rows, you'll divide it in half, and that gives you your bodice. And mine was 85, and because I prefer working on a round loom, I'm working on the 88 peg. But you can continue to work on the loom you were already using, but if you can work on a round loom and you prefer to, like I did, you can do this. Now what I do is I need a waistband because I want to put a sash around, so that's either going to be, remember it's 10 rows per inch, And if you want to do an inch and a half, it's 15, 2 inches, it's 20. Because my girl is small, I'm going to do an inch and a half, which is 15 rows of knit. So E-wrap cast on 15 rows, and because I wanted an easy chain, I slipped the end stitches. And there won't be a back per se. So what you'll need to do is you'll need to take your full number of pegs and you need to divide them in half, and you need to figure out how much you need to take off this back half here. Okay, because this is the back. And then the front half will be here. So what I calculated was 43 pegs will be taken off the back and 42 will be kept on. Okay, after I've divided that in half and I had 42 for the front, 43 for the back, I'm going to need to divide 43 in half so that I can know how much to bind off on each side. And that means I'm going to be taking off 22, bind off on one side, knit my 42 pegs for the front, and bind off the 21 on this side. So I'm going to go ahead and show how to go about doing that. And it's going to be a not special bind off, you just do a regular bind off. So knit 2, take one back, toss the loop over and over, knit the next one, back. Okay, and that's how you're going to calculate your back half that you need to bind off so that you have your front half to work with. You will need 2 separate skeins of ruffle yarn you're working with. One will be for one side of the bodice and the other side of the bodice. And this will make it easier where there's no cutting involved. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to bind off half of your back number of pegs, which 22 is first. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So here's 14. Okay, because that one's already been knitted, we're going to count that as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42. Now, if you're not keen on cutting, you could finish the row and then bind off back, but that will make the back panel uneven. One side will have more rows than the other, which is the reason why I suggest going ahead and just binding off. So we're going to start our bind off, and you will have to reattach yarn. And you're just going to bind off the rest of the stitches on the loom, and then we'll be ready to start the base of the front of the bodice. Now this dress is intended to have a Dutch boy shirt or a shirt go underneath it, a blouse of some sort. If you have a pretty puff sleeve blouse or something, I would suggest putting it under this dress. That's the idea. But while I'm calling this a bow peep dress, you can use it for more than just that. It's a nice basic dress for any year-round occasion. And again, I am providing the formula to figure out how to do this in any size you want. Heck, you could figure out how to make it in a size for yourself if you want. But this is just a guide as to how to go about making it on a 12-month-old to 18-month-old little girl. Again, if you want it larger, I am providing a formula, and I'm trying to explain how that formula works as I go, and it's all written down and explained. It is math involved and measurements, but once you get the idea of what I'm doing, it's not a real big deal. And let's get our last two. And then we'll be ready to move on to the front. And you'll need to snip the end, pull through, and you'll need to reattach here because we're going back. And you need to get your ruffle yarn ready, so pause the video and get yourself prepped up for the next section, and we will go over some math there. You'll see that you have mined off. There's your back, and it is curling. I'm probably going to go in and tighten all my cast on, my E-wrap cast on, so that it's real even, and when I sew it to the skirt, that'll quit that curling, and when I do a light basting of my ribbon that I want around the waistband, that'll stop that curling. Okay, alright, now what we're going to do is we're going to start adding our ruffle yarn in on the ends. Okay, and again, I like to choose one that's not going to unravel easily. That'll do it. Okay, we're going to put it on the peg. And because it's on the end, it doesn't matter whether you're doing right or wrong side. And you'll remember that when I usually do this kind of thing, that I tend to make sure you don't get yourself all wound up before then. I pull the ruffle yarn from the inside, and my working yarn stays on the outside. Okay, so I've done a slip knot here, and I'm just going to knit the bottom one over. Okay, and then 5 pegs on the outer edges, if you're doing this sizing, will be a seed stitch. Now, you will have measurements from the pit to the waist and the shoulder to the waist. And the pit to the waist tells you where you're going to stop your bodice, okay? And when you get that measurement, you're going to times it by 10, because every 10 rows is an inch. And you're going to minus the 15 or 20, and then you're going to minus 10 total, which is 5 for each side, to do the seed stitch. If you want a wider band, calculate that in, because we're going to be doing a diamond slip in the middle, and it needs to be in sets of 8. So whatever isn't working up in your sets of 8, you add it to the end for your seed stitch evenly on both sides, and you can have a wider band that way. But I want to do a 5-stitch seed stitch, which is going to eventually turn into my shoulder strap that crosses around the back. So I'm going to start with a knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, and what I'm left with to do my front section with the diamond stitch is 32 stitches, because I have 5 here, 5 here. So I'm going to purl, because I'm getting started with that. I'm going to purl my 32 stitches. So here's 3, 4, and so on. So I'm going to purl 32 stitches. I'm at the last 5 stitches. Knit, purl, knit, purl. Add your ruffle yarn, and remember, take it up from the inside so that it's out of the way, and you find where it's not going to unravel easy. So that looks like it's going to be that one. And knit 2 together. Now, only every other row do you actually add the ruffle yarn on the ends. Now going back, you're going to purl, knit, purl, knit, purl, and you have to have a second row to start your diamond stitch of purling. So you're just going to purl your way over to the last 5, and then you're going to do purl, knit, purl, knit. So this starts to get you prepped for your diamond slip. And I will be showing you how to do the diamond slip in flat paneling, actually, and I didn't show that in my video. So you'll get how to do this in a flat panel. Okay, here's your last 5 stitches. Purl, knit, purl, knit, purl. Alright, you're going to add your next thing of ruffle yarn, skip that one, add the next one. You're going to knit 2 together, and you're going to purl, knit, purl, knit, and here's where you're going to start your diamond. And what you're going to do is you're going to start with a knit 3, slip 2. Okay, so this is how you do the flat panel of the diamond slip. So you're going to knit 3, 1, 2, 3, slip 2, knit 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, slip 2, and then knit 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, slip 2, knit 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, slip 2, knit 3, 1, 2, 3. Then your last 5, you're going to knit, purl, knit, purl, and then you're going to add ruffle yarn. There's your next one. Skip to the next one. Knit 2 together. Alright, you're going back. I'm going to repeat these 2 rows 6 more times after this. So purl 1, knit 1, purl 1, knit 1, purl 1. And you're going to knit your 3, slip 2, knit 6, slip 2, knit 6, slip 2, knit 6, slip 2, knit 3, then you're going to purl 1, knit 1, purl 1, knit 1, purl 1, and then you're going to repeat the last 2 rows we just did. 6 more rows. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You should end up back over here, and then I'm going to show you how to stagger the diamond slip, and then we will go from there, and then you'll just repeat however much you need to do in order to get your inches left for your chest from your pit to your waist. And then you're going to bind off those middle 32 and start working your shoulder straps, and that's when you're going to work your seed stitch however many inches you need from what's left on your shoulder to your waist on the front, and then the full number on the back. And I got 12 inches, so I'm going to be doing 120 rows for my shoulder straps, and I want them to cross in the back. And so that's generally a guide on how to go about doing this, on how to start working your bodice up front. Again, this is going to be for a 12 to 18 month old dress. If you're not wanting to do all this conversion and everything, I'll try to give a write-up for a 4-year-old, so that if you wanted to make this dress for a 4-year-old, you can. Alrighty, so pause the video, get 6 more rows done, and then we will go from there. Now we're going to finish up this section of the diamonding, which is our first section. We're going to add our ruffle yarn in, knit 2 together. Okay. Then purl, knit, purl, knit. Then you're going to purl 3, 1, 2, 3. Then you're going to, and I like to do this the best, I think it's the fastest way, gather 8, push the working yarn through there to gather the 8, grab it, you can grab it, pull it on there. You can do that with a crochet hook. Knit, and then knit the next slip. Then you're going to purl 6. You're going to do this all the way across. You're going to gather your 8, so stick your finger up through there, push through, put on there, and knit that one, and then purl your 6. Sounds like I'm going to need to lay a baby girl down for a nap. Last one, in purl 3. Knit 1, purl 1, knit 1, purl 1, add the ruffle yarn in, knit 2 together. And to finish up this section, you're going to purl 1, knit 1, purl 1, knit 1, purl, and then purl your way over to the last 5 pegs for your 32. And this will complete this diamond, and then we will start the stagger diamond. So okay, last 5, purl 1, knit 1, purl 1, knit 1, and purl 1, and then we will start the stagger section of the diamond. Alrighty, so pause the video and get that section done, and then we will start on the next section, and which is your stagger diamond, and we'll go from there. I'm going to show you how to stagger. So what you want to do is you want to add the next thing, and you want to knit You're gonna knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, and then here's where it's going to work on flat. You're going to slip 1, you're going to knit 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, then you're going to slip 2, knit 6. So you're in one, you're going to actually slip only 1 because your second slip is going to be on the end. So there's your 6, slip 2, knit 6, slip 2, and we're about to reach our other end. So you're going to knit 6, and then you're just going to slip 1, okay? And then you're going to knit, purl, knit, purl, add in the ruffle yarn at the end, and knit 2 together. Then you're going to go back and you're going to do your 5 seed stitch on the end, purl 1, knit 1, purl 1, knit 1, purl 1, okay, slip that very first, knit 6. This is how you do the diamond slip stitch flat, and then you're going to slip 2, knit 6, slip 2, knit 6, slip 2, knit 6, and then slip 1, and then purl 1, knit 1 all the way over. And you're going to repeat these 2 rows a total of 6 times. Well, a total of 8 times, and then I apologize for the kids making noise. Then you'll do the same number as you just did. You'll do 6 more rows after these 2 that we just did, and then I'll show you the next step, and you'll be gathering just like you did here. So go ahead and pause the video and complete the rows, and then I'll show you the next step. Okay, we're going to show you the gathering section. I'm going to show you that. Okay, so we add our next thing in right there, and we get a ruffle yarn, knit 2 together. Alright, then you do your seed stitch on the end pegs like we've been doing. That never changes. Okay, then what you want to do is you want to gather all 8 slips, and what you want to do is you want to find your 8 slips, okay, and that looks like all 8 of them right there. And what I'm going to do is see if I can't, normally I send my finger up, but I'll see if I can't do this without doing that. There we go. Slide it through. That gathers 8. Toss the bottom loop over as a knit, and then you're going to purl 6. So you're going to purl your 6. Okay, and here's where I like to send my fingers up and just grab the yarn and pull it through, and I just add it to that first peg of 2 slips, toss that over, knit the next one. Okay, so I gather 8 and knit it, and then I knit the next one, and then I purl 6. And you're going to do this all the way across. Again, once you get to those 2 slips, you're going to gather your 8, in which I just shove that yarn through the 8, put it on the peg, knit it, knit the next one, and purl 6. And this is what adds the dimensional texture to the front of the dress. This is a pretty simple dress otherwise, but the chest area is the most fancy area in the works. We're almost done with this row. Send it through. You can take a crochet hook and pull it through if you want. That is an option. And purl 6. And if you have a crochet hook, it's probably going to be easier on this last single slip to gather. But if you don't, you can try to do the trick of sending your hook through and pulling it through like that. It's a little bit of a challenge, I won't lie. And stick it on there. Knit. So gather 8 and knit. And that sounds like that's the alarm for my kids. Okay, now we're going to knit, purl, knit, purl, add our ruffle yarn in on this side, knit 2 together, and to complete this patterning, and then you'll repeat from the start of it, and you're going to start with a purl, knit, purl, knit, purl, and then you're going to purl 32. And this row completes the total set of the diamond. That includes the staggered diamond. Okay, and so this completes the set, and you're going to do it one more time for the size I'm doing. You may doing it more than once if you're doing a different sizing, and I give the math on how to handle that. But I'm going to be doing it one more time, so when I say to start the diamond slip patterning, which is where you're going to be going in and starting with the knit 3, slip 2, and the knit 6 section there. You're going to start there and then go on all the way to this point, and you just keep repeating. Okay, and that is how you do the diamond stitch, slip stitch, flat. Okay, about got this row done, and you're just going to continue to repeat until you have it, and then I'll show you the last 2 rows, and then you'll have your shoulder straps next. So, and that part is not too difficult. Last 5, purl, knit, purl, knit, and purl. And just to kind of give you an idea of what section I am starting on, I will show it to you. So add your ruffle yarn, knit 2 together, purl 1, knit 1, purl 1, knit 1. Then you're going to knit 3, 1, 2, 3, slip 2, knit 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, slip 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, slip 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, slip 2, 1, 2, 3. So you know this is the section we start over again on. And you just keep repeating those last 20 rows that we just did. Another full section. And then I will show you what to do next. And then we'll be on our shoulder straps. So go ahead, pause the video, complete your diamond section to the point you need it, and then we will go from there. Okay, I have finished up my patterning, as you can see, and I'm ready to do my last two sections to finish off the bust area and then be working on my shoulder straps. Okay, so what I'm going to do is add my next ruffle yarn in. Get that straightened out. Okay, knit 2 together, purl, knit, purl, knit, and then I'm going to purl my way over for 32 pegs, or however many your bodice area is. I'm just going to purl my way over, and then I'm going to be doing my last 5 seed stitches. Now on your way back from this row, you will be binding off your bodice area. Okay, with the last 5 pegs, you're going to knit 1, purl 1, knit 1, purl 1, add your ruffle yarn in, and knit 2 together. And here's where it's going to change up, okay? And we're going to start getting towards our shoulder strap. So you're going to purl 1, knit 1, purl 1, knit 1, purl 1. Okay, at this point you're going to start binding off those 32 pegs. So you're going to knit 2, take back 1, and I would suggest doing it fairly loosely. Toss the bottom loop over and move over 1, knit 1, take back 1, toss the bottom loop over, and knit. You're doing a regular bind off, but you're doing it light and loose. You're not going to do it tight. Okay, so knit, take it back 1, toss the bottom loop over, move over. You're going to do this all the way across your 32 pegs. Okay. And what you're doing, there's a calculation to figure out how long of shoulder straps you need. You could just keep doing the pattern until you get the length that you need, but I need 12 inches. And there's like a 3-inch difference between my daughter's underarm pit to waist to shoulder to waist. And so what that means for me is that I'm going to need to add 3 to, I believe it was 9. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was 9. Okay, so we're almost down to the last one. Okay, where are we at? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, we're gonna knit that one, move it back 1, toss it over. Okay, now we've gotten that, so then we're gonna purl 1, knit 1, purl 1, knit 1, purl. Alright, that finishes that row. and you can stretch it out and start to see what you have. So there's a really nice pretty chest area there. Okay, and now you've got to do your shoulder straps. And this is the same thing. It's a 2-row repeat over and over and over again. And so here is how you do it. You're going to take the next, you're going to knit 2 together, purl, knit, purl, knit, and then you come back, purl, knit, purl, knit, purl, and then you add your ruffle yarn back in, and you continue these last 2 rows over and over until you get the number of inches you need. And I need 12 inches, which is going to be approximately 120 rows, or you can just do however many until you get the measurement you need. I'm going to cross my straps in the back so they fit properly. But what you want to do is when you finish it, you just do a bind off like we just did. But go ahead and pause the video, complete your shoulder straps. When you go over to start the shoulder straps on this one, start on the outer edge so that it has the same kind of feel and repeat over here. It'll be a knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, purl back. Okay, so go ahead and pause the video, complete your shoulder straps and bind them off, and then I will show you how to sew all of this together to complete your dress. Okay, I finished my bodice, and you can see there's my shoulder straps. And here is my other shoulder straps. And I am planning on attaching the bodice and skirt first, is what I'll find. And you want to put positive side to positive side and have your negative sides facing out. And these chains are going to be important along with your cast on. And so what you want to do is you want to line up a chain from the skirt, the first one you can, and then you want to line up your first cast on chain, and you'll see them. You want to line that up and you want to sew it together. And what you want to do is you want to line up a chain and then line up your next cast on stitch, and you'll see it. They're like little lines that diagonally line up with each other, as you can see, and this will work up perfectly if you continue to match up your chain stitch and a single cast on stitch. As you can see right here, that's what I've done. And so you want to do that all the way across, and by doing that you should end up even. Okay, and what I like to do is kind of snug up the seaming and then stretch it out a little bit so that it has some give, but it's not too tight either, but it's a nice solid seam. And again, you want to keep finding the chain and the next cast on stitch, and you want to do this all the way across. And what you'll find is it looks like the skirt's going to be a lot longer than the bodice, and what you'll find is that it will add up. It will make it even when you're done. But here it is completed, and as you can see, it did line up. And now what we want to do is we want to put our positive sides together again, and we want to sew from the top of the bodice to the end, because the ruffle yarn will hide if it doesn't end up even. But again, we're going to be following chains and cast-ons and that kind of thing to be able to make sure that all of our stitching is even. I like to set things up to where it's going to be nice, even, and clean stitch work. So the bodice will have chains you can follow, and on the skirt you're going to have a cast on stitch and you're going to have a chain you're going to follow, just like you did with the skirt and the bodice sewed together. So I'm going to start at the top and sew the bodice together, and I'm going to follow chain to chain in order to do this. And that is how it's going to line up. And I like to usually make a little slip stitch and slip it through to get myself set up for sewing. And usually I will sew in the tails so that you don't see them. But you want to go ahead and sew up your bodice band first. And then you'll end up sewing up your skirt. And this will get most of the dress. See, I snug it and I pull it a little bit, and I'm going to go all the way down. I'm going to continue sewing all the way down, finding my very edges, which is going to be a cast on and a chain, and you sew it down to the tip. So sew all the way down, and then I'll show you how to set up the shoulder straps. So we're almost done. Alright, so I've got the back sewn up, as you can see, and now it's time to sew on the shoulder straps. And what you want to do is you want to find out how smooth it is from the base of the bodice and to the tip. And you want to nice and neatly fold it over and cross it over to the other side. And I'm crossing them in the back, and that way it's the shoulder straps stay up. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the edge of my bodice and my center seam. I'm going to fold it in half, which finds my center, and then I'm going to sew the shoulder strap down to that center piece right there. And so once I get that figured out, what I want to do is sew it one way and sew it the other direction. But I'm going to fold it back so that my positive side and my positive side are together. But make sure you don't have a twist up in your shoulder strap. And you saw how I went about doing that so that I don't have a twist up. Now, because these are shoulder straps and they're going to be holding up the dress, you want to make sure that they're sewn on really securely. And so when you sew them on, you're going to sew one direction, and then you're going to come back and sew back to where you started. And that way it's sewn on nice and snug, and you don't have to worry about the shoulder straps coming undone. Now, if you wanted, you could figure out how to make buttonholes so that they're adjustable, but I didn't want to go into all that technicality. I was trying to make this dress as simple as possible and make it easy to understand how to put it together. But you can add buttonholes and do all that if you want to make the shoulder straps adjustable. But if you know sewing, then you don't need me to explain that. You should know how to do that. But in the meantime, this is how I sew on the shoulder straps. Okay, if you want them more snug than that, you can sew them closer to the base of the front of the bodice rather than in the middle. But we've worked our way over. Now we're going to work our way back so that we've sewn it on solid. Again, if you want the shoulder straps tightened, you can tighter than and shorter. You can sew them closer to the front edge of the bodice rather than in the middle, and that'll tighten them up some as well. Or you can add buttons if you so choose, but I just didn't want to go through all the extra on that one. Okay, so there you have it, and I'm going to tie it off, and then I'm going to get my other one sewn up. I don't find it really matters which side crosses which side, just so long as the shoulder straps don't get twisted. And that is easy enough to do. So there you have it, and you see that it's nice and snug and that it is not twisted. Alright, but now we need to add our other one. So you want to follow it up, fold it down nice and neatly so that you know it's not twisted, and then you want to fold it half from the front to the center back. There's your middle. And then you want to line that up, making sure that the shoulder strap is not twisted, then fold it back and do a sew up, and that is how you make the bow peep dress, and you're done. That's how you do it.